Doubt doesn't stop you by force. It stops you by waiting. It waits for the exact moment when you are about to move. And then it asks one quiet question. Are you sure? That single question has delayed more lives than failure ever could. Because while failure happens fast, doubt happens slowly. Day after day, thought after thought, until the future you wanted quietly expires without ever being tried. Understanding doubt. Most people believe that doubt is a weakness, a sign that they are not good enough, not skilled enough, or not brave enough. But doubt is not born of weakness, it is born of awareness. The more deeply you understand possibilities, the more you can imagine consequences, losses, judgments, and failures. And imagination, when left unchecked, becomes doubt. Doubt is not an enemy, it is a signal. A signal that something matters, that your comfort zone is being challenged, that the outcome is unknown. The real mistake is assuming that doubt is a warning to stop. In truth, doubt is a question that asks for experience as an answer. But we rarely give it one. We try to answer it with thinking, analysis, and preparation, hoping that certainty will arrive. And as we wait, doubt grows, stretches, and eventually convinces us that waiting itself is the only safe choice. It becomes a quiet authority over our choices, whispering that you are not ready, that you need more clarity, that now is not the time. Yet movement, even small, even imperfect, is the only antidote. Confidence alone cannot defeat doubt, only action can. How doubt shapes in real life. John was known as someone thoughtful and reliable. He didn't rush decisions. He didn't take unnecessary risks. People trusted his judgment. On the surface, his life looked stable and sensible. But inside, John carried a quiet tension. For years, he felt pulled toward a different direction, something that felt more aligned with who he was becoming. It wasn't reckless. It wasn't unrealistic. It was simply unfamiliar. Every time the thought returned, doubt followed politely. It didn't shout. It whispered. What if this disrupts everything you've built? What if you misjudge your own ability? What if you regret it later? John listened because the questions sounded reasonable. He told himself he was being careful, that clarity would come with time. Months passed. Then years. Life remained functional, but something inside him felt unfinished. Slowly, doubt changed form. It stopped feeling like caution and started feeling like self-distrust. John no longer asked what he wanted, he asked what was safest. One evening, sitting alone in the quiet after another ordinary day, he noticed a heavy realization settling in. The fear he carried was no longer about failing. It was about never discovering what could have happened if he had tried. That realization hurt more than doubt ever had. Because it revealed that doubt had not protected him, it had shrunk his world. The next morning, John didn't make a dramatic decision. He didn't quit his job or announce a bold plan. He took one small action. Something minor. Almost invisible to others. His hands trembled as he did it. Doubt was still present, questioning and warning, but once the action was complete, something shifted. The doubt softened. It didn't vanish, but it no longer controlled the space. That small movement gave his mind something it hadn't had in years. Proof that uncertainty did not immediately lead to disaster, and that moving, even imperfectly, felt lighter than standing still. There is a neurological reason doubt feels overwhelming before action and weaker after it. The human brain is wired for survival, not fulfillment. Its primary job is to predict danger. Uncertainty triggers this system because the unknown could mean risk. When you think about acting but remain still, the brain fills the gap with imagined outcomes, often negative ones, because predicting danger feels safer than ignoring it. This is why overthinking intensifies anxiety. The brain keeps running simulations without receiving new information. Action interrupts this loop. Even small actions send feedback to the brain. You moved. You survived. You learned something. This feedback activates higher cognitive regions responsible for learning and regulation. In simple terms, action provides data, and data reduces uncertainty. Dopamine, the chemical associated with motivation and learning, is released not when you succeed, but when you make progress. This is why movement creates relief even when the outcome is unclear. The brain does not reward intention alone. It rewards engagement. Doubt lingers when the mind has no evidence that you can handle what comes next. Action supplies that evidence, not by guaranteeing success, but by demonstrating resilience. Over time, this rewires the relationship between fear and movement, teaching the brain that uncertainty is tolerable and that experience is more reliable than imagination. What this means for you. If you are listening to this and feeling seen, pause without judgment. Not to pressure yourself into dramatic change, and not to criticize where you are, but simply to observe. Where has doubt been keeping you still under the label of thinking? What small step feels uncomfortable but possible? What would shift if you stopped waiting for doubt to disappear and instead allowed action to answer the questions your mind keeps asking? Doubt does not need to vanish completely to lose its power. It only needs to stop being the one in control. You do not need certainty to begin. You need momentum, and momentum is built quietly through ordinary, imperfect actions taken in the presence of uncertainty, actions that slowly retrain the mind to trust lived experience over imagined catastrophe, movement over mental noise, and progress over paralysis, until one day you realize that doubt no longer defines your choices because you learned, gently and repeatedly, that action is not the absence of fear but the courage to move with it, and that this simple, human skill, practiced over time, is what allows a fuller, braver, and more honest version of your life to unfold in ways thinking alone could never make possible.